I've just bought a brand new car in the UAE with cash as a brand new expat to this country. Was that the right move? Let's have a little chat. So having just moved here, one of the things that I wanted to get ahead of really quickly was transportation. Now, Dubai does have its own public transportation system. It's pretty efficient, it's pretty cool. But if you live in a place like Town Square, for example, which is where we live, it can be hard to access that public transportation system. And so you need a car. Dubai is quite a vast city. There are lots of communities that are being built that people commute in and out from. And so you need to be able to commute via a car, not public transportation, ideally. Now, renting a car here is extremely easy. You can literally order a car, they'll drop it off. You don't have to do anything with your driver's license. You pay the amount, the car is yours. But we did this exercise for my partner in August, and I couldn't help but think back then, looking through all of the options, that the amount that you pay for this rental on a monthly basis versus the car that you're getting, the value just didn't make any sense. I mean, my partner's got a Nissan Kicks, which is an all right car, but she's paying £350 a month for this thing. I mean, back home, you're probably taking out a finance agreement for something like an Audi, maybe a little bit more money for an Audi. This is a Nissan Kicks. And so for me, when I moved here in December, I wanted to make sure that I could get into a car with some mod cons, that had some sporty features, because I've come from a Tesla for the past 10 years. And I didn't necessarily want to be incumbent to high rental costs. Now, you can get around Dubai without using public transport. You can use apps like Careem, for example. That is the UAE's version of Uber. It's very efficient, it's easy to use. But what I found going back and forth between here and the UK from August to December was I was Careeming everywhere. For all of my meetings, I was doing or taking a Careem. And over the course of time, it actually stacks up to be quite expensive. I mean, looking back over my old transactions, 50 or 60 dirhams here, 90 dirhams there, 120 dirhams to go somewhere else, over the course of my stay, ended up costing me quite a bit. And so when I moved in December, I knew that I wanted to be independent when it comes to my own transportation. But there's a catch. Being new to the country and not being employed by a business who has sponsored me for my visa, you can't really get any financing options because I don't have an income to be able to prove to the lenders that I can pay them back. Now, the biggest thing that I struggle with trying to buy a car here was the sheer amount of choice. It's not just the European cars that you can choose from. You've got the American cars, then you've got the Chinese cars. And literally just in those three markets, the choices are absolutely vast. Now, part of me wanting to buy a used car, that was my first go-to. Something maybe 1 or 2 years old, that's maybe got a little bit mileage, but maybe a little bit of warranty at a reasonable price. But if you recall, there were floods here last year. And one of the things that I kept being told was, make sure that you don't buy a flood damaged car. And so, because I know that there was no way that I could verify this, I essentially opted to buy a brand new car. Now, in the brand new car space, you have, like I've said, the Americans, the Europeans, and you've got the Chinese. The Chinese, though, let's just talk about what they're doing. You've got BYD, Lao Auto, you've got Chang'an producing absolutely beautiful cars. But when you start reading reviews like you would normally do when you're buying a car, you start to hear people talk about reliability and the fact that it's Chinese made. And that then plants a seed of doubt in your mind. And don't even get me started on the whole debate around whether you should buy from a dealership or maybe from some of the other car dealers at places like Ras Al Khor, for example. Now, it's really, really interesting because when you're looking at cars to buy, I found looking through some of the sites, the car sites, to see what's out there, that you have to be careful that you don't get led down the garden path with prices. Because trust me, I saw some cars on the website where I thought, this is really, really cheap compared to other areas. Why is that? And in Dubai, you can buy a car which you specifically export. And if you buy a car that you export, it costs less. So you've got to be really, really careful if you're looking to buy a car here that you don't fall into the trap of looking at the price and not looking at the detail. Because if you buy a car that is meant for export, you'll quickly find that there are some other fees that you actually have to pay for that main dealerships will account for. Now, I did go to Ras Al Khor, and oh my God, there's no car that you would want that they do not have in that place. And I saw this particular car in Ras Al Khor for 14,000 dirhams less. In the UK, it's about this much. I'll put it on the screen. And I was tempted. I was very, very tempted. But the reason why it was cheaper was because it didn't have a manufacturer's warranty. Despite it being brand new, the warranty was going to be with an independent garage. And when I looked at groups like Brits in Dubai, everyone just said, go and buy it from the dealership. So maybe that's a little tip for you. If you're moving here and you're seriously considering buying a car, buy from a main dealership that's going to give you warranty, and don't necessarily be driven particularly by the price and looking for the cheapest price. Look for the best car equipped with the best things that you want and that you're going to be happy with. That would be my top tip, buying a car from what I've learned doing it myself. Now, this car is an MG. Now, as you know, MG used to be a British brand. It's now Chinese, and they are trying to revive the brand. Over the past number of years, they've been developing new cars. They're big in the EV sector now with some really good offerings, but they're selling everywhere apart from Europe, it seems, at this point in time. There are lots of MGs on the road here, and this is the MG7. I'm going to come back to this car because I want to talk a little bit about the first car or the original car that I was going to buy, which was the Jetor Dashing. Now, the Jetor Dashing is another Chinese car, fully equipped, but it's big. It's like a Range Rover. And for me, test driving one, I drove our neighbor's one. Very, very big, very, very cumbersome. I wouldn't have enjoyed driving it. It was just too big for my liking. This, however, is the MG7. And this is extremely sporty, has fantastic exhaust notes, and comes fully loaded. All right, so let's talk a little bit about how much this car costs. Like I said, I bought this cash. It's something that I had to prepare for because I didn't want the monthly payments. I didn't want to rent a car. I just figured owning a car would allow me to not have the monthly costs. And if I needed to sell this to recoup some of the money, I would be able to do that. Obviously, there will be depreciation with this car. It's going to lose value. But I was quite happy to part with some cash. I've been planning this for some time, so I was well prepared for this. So when I picked up the car, they gave me this little brochure right here. And inside here is a breakdown of the cost. Now, the sale price for this thing is 86,360 dirhams. So 86,360 dirhams. Did I say that right the first time? I don't know. I'll look at this in the edit. There are other fees. There's numerous fees in here. There is RSA three-year fee. I don't know what that is. Redtronics tinting. Should they charge me for the tinting? That was supposed to be included. I'm going to go back to them on that. Naughty, naughty, naughty. Okay. But the total price for this vehicle is 93,452 dirhams altogether. Now, in the UAE, when you buy a new car, you have to then pay for your insurance upfront. The insurance cost about 3,650 dirhams altogether. So the total cost for this car, I'm going to put on screen right here. When you translate that into pounds, I believe it's a little over £21,000 that I forked out for this car right here. Now, they do have two variations of this car. And one of the things that really frustrated me in trying to do the research to try and pick one was that because this car is not sold in Europe, there were no European reviews or English reviews for this car. Every single car review for this car was either in Arabic, Chinese, or Thai. And so YouTube being YouTube, it was a case of the captions translate into English to really get an understanding of what this is. But there are two variants. There's the 1.5, there's the 2 litre. This is the 1.5 turbo version. The 2 litre turbo is a bit quicker than this, about 10% quicker, And for the additional £5,000 difference in cost, you get an active spoiler, which I was tempted by, but it's cosmetic. I mean, I'm a geek. I like gadgets. That's a really nice gadget. And it doesn't have things like active cruise control in this car when it's present in the 2 litre. Also, this little pad right here is not a charge pad. I thought it was. It actually isn't a charge pad. So it's got Apple CarPlay, all of that good stuff, but you had to connect your phone via a cable, which isn't ideal, but it is what it is. In my head, for the additional £5,000, I can buy some medical insurance. I need the money really to invest into podcast production, that kind of stuff. I have better use of that money than to sink it into a car. If you're planning to move to the UAE, I would strongly encourage you to make sure that you are well prepared, you're well researched. At the end of the day, you are coming to a different country with different cultures, different rules, different regulations, and it's important that you're able to appreciate and respect that. Things work very differently here. And so coming here with a mentality that you could just abide by the way you do things in England, that's not going to cut the cookie over here. Be respectful. The locals are so respectful. They're so hospitable. You have to plan financially as well. Be prepared in terms of you're going to register a business. We'll talk about this on the podcast. That's it really for this vlog. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that you found it entertaining. And I hope that ultimately I've been able to earn a subscribe from you. So before you leave, please smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, and don't forget to hit that bell notification as well. I'm going to give this a bit of a blast down one of these roads, then head back.